welcome back to Hooky Hour. As you can see, there is no face cam today. It's we've got a new member on board, so I'm still trying to figure out what the best way to accommodate him is. I gotta hold him and coddle him. um, it is Moxley. If you saw yesterday's video, he's still here. The precious little thing. But yeah, no face cam today. I am currently holding him, swaddling him like a little baby, like the baby he is. Unlike this growing relationship in Fata Morgana between the white-haired girl and I forget his name. Was it Jack? Because that dude sure is Jack off. Funny. Anyways, let's get started, huh, Mox? As I am sure you're aware, our parents arranged our marriage. Well, I guess there's also no face cam for me to hide the arrow. But that's okay. Oh, there I am. Hello. Before I immigrated to this country to be married, I lived in a misty island nation. Also, yep, her backstory just keeps changing, doesn't it? Now she has both parents. Little suspicious. Even though we're led to believe this is the same person. She has had a backstory involving her parents change every single time. Portraits of my ancestors hung in the house where I lived. I remember as a child wincing in fear at the sight of them staring down at me. My father and mother were constantly telling me to show them respect, as it was their hard work that kept our bloodline alive and well. However, they were fighting an uphill battle to do the same. It would have been clear to anyone reasonably perceptive that our house was coming tumbling down. Also, I don't have headphones on because I gotta listen for baby. But yeah, if I speak over any characters choosing to speak in this game, I'm sorry. Valuable furniture and paintings slowly disappeared, and eventually the portraits were gone too. As our house collapsed, so too did my parents' health deteriorate, robbing us of any source of income. And though I was educated, I lacked the skills necessary to obtain work. Just as we were about to run out of money and options, my parents received Jacopo's parents' marriage proposition. It was almost Jack. It was Jacopo. Even funnier. Jacopo off. That just sounds Russian. Both of our families stood to benefit from the arrangement. I had social status, and he had wealth. We had what the other lacked. One needs more than money to make it in the world. Without at least a semi-reputable name attached to you, you're liable to get laughed out of most social gatherings. If you're like filthy, stinking rich, I think you probably automatically have some status. I first met Jacopo here in this country. We didn't even know what the other looked like until our wedding day. To be quite honest, I was scared to death at first. I was so nervous. What kind of man would he be? Was I to be wed to some middle-aged stranger? We were not marrying because we had fallen in love like a normal couple. I knew I was in no position to be concerned with such things, but when I thought about our future, I shook with fear. But the man I saw through my veil at the wedding was remarkable. He was young, had strong masculine eyes, and at the same time, he too appeared nervous. He was shaking as much, no, even more than me. Seeing that, the priest gave an impish little smirk when he asked Jacopo if he vowed his eternal love to me. I counted myself among the happy, and I still do. For in that moment, I experienced true love. True love at first sight at your wedding. You wanted to hear about when he was kind to me? Well, after the wedding, we were given a week to ourselves. I suppose you could call it a honeymoon, though we didn't take a trip overseas, or even go very far at all. Moxley is biting my earlobe. He looked at me with uncertainty and asked, "Where would you like to go?" I forget what voice I gave this guy. I beg your pardon. That's what this week is for, right? I'll consider granting your request, so tell me where you want to go. This is all so sudden. Nothing? Well, this whole engagement was a spur of the moment. Normally, we would have planned a trip in advance, but unfortunately our purpose is served so long as we act the part. You must be disappointed that you have to plan your honeymoon as it's happening. No, What? Speak clearly. I don't like it when people speak their mind. Alright, yeah, this guy, I'm sure this guy is real nice. I'm sorry, but I'm happy. Even if this is a political marriage. Well, you're quite the positive thinker. Your parents say something to make you think that way? Well, either way, if you're so glad to be in this arrangement, then hurry up and decide on a destination. Though there is a limit to how far we can go. If you want to take a trip, I'll consider it. Jeez, yeah, he's being real considerate. What, is something funny? It just seemed comical to me that our honeymoon has begun, and we're only now deciding where we want to go. Not in a bad way, though. Glad our parents didn't arrange everything for us. Perhaps you've heard, but I am quite sensitive to sunlight and not in the best health. So it would be rather trying for me to spend a full week out of the house. We couldn't go on a trip, but if it's not too much trouble. Speak up. Could you show me around town? I'm new to this country and unfamiliar with its customs. And I'm rather afraid to go wandering about on my own. So she's still, that's right, she is kind of like she has like vampire qualities to her. Right? Like we heard, sheesh, what was it? Or we saw in the first, I guess you could call it story, that, she was out at moonlight. She, like, turned the white flower red. Speaking of which, she actually has red flowers in her hair. Interesting. I'll keep that in mind. Show you around. Yes. Would that be possible? On a rare bit of time off, you ask me to show you around town. Is that really the most exciting idea you have? I'm sorry. If, there's somewhere else you would like to go, I'm fine with that. I will accompany you anywhere. As if I could drag someone who just professed to being sickly all over the country. My God, I've lost all interest in a trip. And there it is. The one time he was nice. Hello, what are you doing? Go get ready, now. I beg your pardon. Didn't you want to see the town? You will show me around? You're the one who asked. Not like I have any other options, so yeah, I'll show you around. Show you around this butt. Thank you. Don't just stand there, you dullard. Get a move on. Oh, one moment. Wait for me, please. Wow. Check out this carriage. He hurriedly climbed into the carriage he had called for, a look of frustrated displeasure on his face. And then, as if he had forgotten about me until that moment, he returned, grabbed me by the arm, and led me to the carriage. In retrospect, I realized he was not being very gentlemanly, but I was pleased that he was making any attempt to interact with me at all. Honestly, I would take not interacting with this guy. As the carriage trotted down the streets, I saw so many new things. I had spent most of my time cooped up inside at home, so it was like stepping into an entirely new world. There's a Walmart over there. And add to that the rapid industrial advancement currently taking place, I saw men shouting back and forth as they smacked newspaper articles with the backs of their hands. Their hangins. I saw corner cafes crowded with cigar-smoking men on break from work. It was like the hustle and bustle of a festival, except only men apparently. But every festival has its underside. I also saw overworked men, looking like they were on the verge of collapse, drinking water from a spigot on the side of the road. By way of contrast, I wore fine clothing and had a carriage at my disposal. I imagine every day was a struggle for them just to remain afloat. Had I not married the man I had, I too might have found myself on the streets in a similar situation. But it was not relief that spread through my breast at the sight of them. It was pangs of guilt. It felt to me like a life of opulence was wrong, sinful, as if... What is that one Bible quote? What is it like? It's harder to pass a straw through the camel's eye than it is to get to heaven when you're rich. I feel like I completely butchered that, but it also sounds right. I don't know. Let me know. Duh. Anyways, it broke my heart to know that I was living so much better than them. Jacopo snorted disapprovingly at me, seemingly reading my mind, and then said, "The poor man who envies the rich, covets his wealth, and finds the ambition to make the same for himself, and the rich man who pities the poor, thinking it is his duty to give them offerings of philanthropy. To me, the latter is far more nefarious. Excessive charity will ruin a man, make him come to expect handouts. And then there are those with a wrong idea of pity, who let themselves fall down to the same place, mistakenly believing it will somehow make the poor feel better. What a joke. If you're going to do anything for them, you might as well encourage them to climb upward. Oh. Pull up your bootstraps and grab that brass ring. Spur on economic growth in the flow of capital. Doesn't that sound like the better option?" I say nothing, simply smiling and giving an ambiguous nod. He had a point. My sympathy and guilt meant nothing to people actually experiencing hardship. If, feeling guilty of my own fortune, I acted upon that pity in the way he had described, it would accomplish little more than self-satisfaction. He seemed to have seen straight through my very core. This was a man who had built his own fortune through investment, which I imagine required him to be rather astute. Astute. I'm sorry. But doesn't a world where everyone is constantly trying to climb higher and higher sound rather exhausting? I personally would prefer to be in a position where I could watch, if only from a distance, as others climbed. But obviously, I could not say as much to him. And you will continue to say, you will not say as much to him next time on Hooky Hour, when we'll keep taking this wonderful, fantastic stroll in a carriage through town where the commoner is breaking his back for the wealthy man. So until next time, see you then. Bye!